What's up, everybody? Welcome into another episode of Bulls Latest. Your host, Matt Johnson here. I want to kick off today's show with an encouraging sign if you're a Bulls fan. Bulls players are going to meet for workouts in Miami. They have been in Miami now for a couple of days. A handful of roster members were expected to meet for voluntary workouts in Miami very soon. Fast forward to Tuesday night, and a slew of social media posts by players suggest that things are underway already. Kobe White and Modest Buzelis both shared photos and videos on their Instagram stories that showed a handful of Bulls players dining out together. Joining the two appeared to be guys Pat Williams, Julian Phillips, Ayo Dosunmu, Dalen Terry, Trey Jones, Zach Collins, and Noah Asenge there. The entire crew was celebrating Pat Williams, who turned 24 years old earlier this week. Considering these workouts are not league run, you cannot help but respect the extra effort shown by so many youngsters on this team. I think it's encouraging, given that this is really the last real time off that they have before the grind starts. I just think, when you can look at this time as where players prioritize relaxation and recovery before another grueling season begins, getting together this soon and starting workouts on their own, that's a very encouraging sign for this young team. Shows that they're hungry. So I just think that, when these guys are prioritizing team bonding and on-court chemistry, trying to get things underway early, this could lead to a significant difference in production once the season actually takes off. When the season kicks off in late October there. One can only wonder. Obviously, it's a very minor detail, but I think it's an encouraging sign if you're a Bulls fan. But for such a young team with key developmental pieces like Buzelis and Asenge, getting things rolling early is very important here. It is one thing to note here, kind of spinning off of yesterday, Josh Giddey was still nowhere to be found. I mean, with this large gathering by a lot of Bulls players for the celebration of Pat Williams and kind of getting early workouts underway in Miami, Josh Giddey is still nowhere to be found. He's still obviously in that stiff contract negotiation with the front office. Showing face in Miami may not be the best leverage play for him, so I get that. I think we can all understand that. However, there may not be a more important person to have at voluntary workouts in Miami than the lead point guard. And that goes without saying. Giddey is supposed to be the engine of this revised offense. So the more time he spends learning his teammates on and off the court, the better. In these workouts will not make or break the upcoming season, obviously, but let's not forget that Giddey only arrived one summer ago. Whether it's improving his connection with Kobe White and Ayo Dosunmu, or getting to know Jones and Collins, or learning how to best help Buzelis and Asenge, there's a lot Giddey could be working on if he had already put pen to paper here. That's something I've emphasized. The longer this goes, the more it's going to hurt this team as a whole, I think, because if you have your focal point holding out, it only gets, things get rolling later on in the offseason, and you're kind of off to a slower start there. Now, could be an overreaction, but I just think, what matters most for the Bulls is that Giddey is back with his teammates by training camp, which that remains the expectation, even though there's a lot of growing concern here with the contract situation. The expectation is that he is back with the guys by training camp here. All the additional practice is great to see, but the beginning of October will be when the rubber really hits the road here for the Chicago Bulls, and I expect Josh Giddey to, be present for that and be available and be under contract. I want things to kind of move forward here as we start the next chapter of the offseason, heading into a very quickly approaching regular season here. So, and that leads me to the question, and I know I've talked about it in previous episodes here, but Kobe White here, the North Carolina product, is extension eligible next offseason, but only for 4 years and $89 million, a contract that is well below market rate for a primary scoring option such as himself there. So it begs the question, what are the Bulls going to do with another crucial piece to their organization moving forward? Chicago cannot approach White's situation the way that they've handled Giddey's. That's for sure. The latter is a restricted free agent, while White will enter unrestricted free agency, hell-bent on earning a significant contract after signing a discounted rate at a discounted rate 2 years ago. They got Kobe White at a steal, quite frankly. He's been the best player on this team for some time. I really hope that they handle negotiations properly moving into those with Kobe White, because that's a guy I'd like to see stick around as well. But who knows with this front office, quite honestly, what direction they're going to head. I mean, I think the way they start this season, moving into the trade deadline in February, is going to be telling in terms of what the future looks like for Kobe. I've rumored back, months ago around the draft here that Kobe White could be traded on draft night, and Orlando was interested. There are going to be a lot of teams that are going to be chomping at the bit for a guy like Kobe White. I mean, who wouldn't want to add a perennial player like that to their rotation? It could only, help bring the morale of a squad up, in my eyes. I think Kobe White does that for an organization. So we'll see what happens with Kobe. It's hard to even dismiss the fact that this is coming up, though, given the way Josh Giddey and those contract talks are going currently. So the Bulls got a lot on their plate and a lot of moving parts here. Nikola Vucevic, you add him into the mix there as well. We'll see what happens, but you gotta kind of look forward to this. I know it's a long way down the road. We still have a whole season ahead of us, but looking to the future of the Chicago team, that is certainly a question mark as well, is what's going to happen with Kobe White. What does his future look like here? So a lot of uncertainty there. I will keep you guys up to date on anything that I hear between the two guys. We'll see what happens with, Josh Giddey coming up more recent here in the near future. So kind of wrapping things up today, I wanted to talk about some NBA news that came across. It was interesting to me. I saw that the Knicks had actually offered a head coaching job to South Carolina women's head coach Dawn Staley. She did kick herself for asking the Knicks if they were prepared to hire the first full-time female NBA coach, and wonders if that hurt her chances. She was seen on a broadcast kind of stating that she had brought that up to Knicks management, and wonders if that kind of shifted things, and eventually that's why they ended up going with another candidate there. But that was an interesting piece of news there. That would have been groundbreaking to see the first female head coach in NBA history, with none other than the New York Knicks there, a cornerstone franchise in the league. So that was kind of crazy to see. I would wonder what how the league would react to that. That would be just something very, very new, and it could be the trend of something moving forward. You have to think that at some point that is, a possibility down the road here, especially when you have a candidate so qualified like Dawn Staley, dominant at South Carolina for many years now. So, in other news here, I wanted to go over something in which I, kind of brought up in terms of, previously with his brother buying a share of the White Sox, but the Suns' Matt Ishbia is now being sued by minority owners seeking record access there. A pair of Suns minority owners who were holdovers from the previous regime under former owner Sarver there are suing the team, alleging that current Suns owner Matt Ishbia has refused to access internal records there. And this lawsuit was filed in Delaware on August 21st, so no doubt a sticky situation there for a team that's kind of been in purgatory, even with signing guys like Bradley Beal and Kevin Durant very recently. The Suns are a mess. So they had a very good draft, so that's kind of what they have going for them. They still have Devin Booker over there, but now you have a lawsuit going with the owner, a minority owner of the team, and that's just going to create a major distraction for that organization. You never want to see that for an NBA organization. It's not a good look, but so he will definitely be partaking and kind of dealing with this lawsuit now. That'll be interesting to see how that shakes out. Overall, though, a lighter show today. The rumors just keep swirling with guys on the Bulls roster. The guys getting together for a celebration of Pat Williams in Miami early before workouts start in Miami officially is a great sign. However, I was disappointed. Just cannot help but think of Josh Giddey not being there. He is a major, major part of what the Bulls are trying to do. So hopefully, as time goes on here in the very near future, the Bulls get him locked up and we can move on from this and get ready for this season here. So, as always, let me know what you guys think in the comments. I want to thank you guys for joining me on another episode of Bulls Latest today, and we will catch you guys tomorrow.